Hi everyone, thank you for joining me. My name is Beatrice and I am showing you my February guest DT project for Scrapbooking with Me boutique. All the information to the boutique and items used can be found in my descriptions below. So this month we were sent the Crepe Paper Craft Market paper kit, the Heidi Swap Ephemera pack. I'm not sure which pack. The package didn't actually have a name, but this is the pack. Sorry, everything's falling out of it. We also received the Sutter Display It All, which comes in black, but as you can see, I've changed it up a little bit. We also received the Bo Bunny chipboard 6x6 page chipboard pages for like mini albums. And I've also used, which wasn't part of the kit, but you can also find it at the boutique, the Tim Holtz Distress Stain and the Distressed Paint in the January color of the month, which was the cracked pistachio. Some other items that I used were petaloo flowers and butterflies, which you can also find in the boutique. I think the only thing from my stash on this first page is the ribbon and the gold sequins. So just to zoom in a little bit, as you can see, the first page has the DIY project, which is one of the papers, and I used the 3M or Scotch thick mounting tape or whatever it is. It's like double-sided. The gold flower, it actually comes in a bronze color, and what I did was I used the a gold paint by Silks. It's an acrylic glaze, and I made it gold, and it's so, it looks so pretty like that. I thought it would match better the paper. This paper kit has a lot of gold and glitter. These plastic ephemeras came from the Heidi Swap ephemera pack. One quick tip: if you're using anything like this, don't use your hot glue gun, because they melt, as you can tell. But that's all right. I think it just makes it more interesting. The ribbon is from Lighthouse Stop and Shop. She has beautiful different kinds of laces and trims, and I will post it. I'll post the link to her shop also in my description. A couple other things I did was I sprayed the butterfly and the flower with the Distressed spray stain from Tim Holtz in the cracked pistachio. So basically this is a catalog. I decided that I needed something on my desk to remind me of the stuff I have. The only thing is this is a little thick, and I only had one bigger sized O-ring, so I have to go out and buy a couple more to make it a little bigger so that it's easier to move. So I do apologize if it looks extremely tight, because it really is. And the ribbon didn't help. Okay, so my first page is the embossing folders, and as you can tell, I've cut out a little tab so that it kind of hangs on the outside. I used which on both pages, the tags came from the paper collection, and this doily is from my stash. And basically I didn't make it too crazy because I didn't want it to be too thick, because I knew that eventually I would have a lot of pages in it. So you know, I tried to keep it as simple as possible. I cut these hearts with a punch, and I've had this little clip in my stash probably since I first started scrapbooking about 10 years ago. It's just been sitting there, so I figured let me use it. Okay, so that's my first section. On the back of this page, which let me flip it over, I made a little pocket, and I've included little cards, which you'll see why in a second. Let me just put it back in. I have embossed each card with the embossing folders that I have, and what I did was I did it on both sides. I mean, I don't know if you can see that, but both sides have it, and I don't have that many, as you can tell. I only have about 12, 13 of them. So I have space for growth. I actually have both sides of this card. And what I did was I used cardstock, and then I used I sandwiched the cardstock with two different color, two different pattern papers. My next section is stencils, and same thing. This is from the paper pack. I added some stencils. I mean, I already had the pretty glitter, and I popped up the totally as well. And I did the same exact thing. I just used the Distress ink, and I distressed inked all my stencils, and I did it on both sides of the sheets. And I have about another 10 that are coming to me, so I definitely need bigger O-rings because I'm out of space, and I have them on both sides. So just so you can, at least we can move along. And then my next section is punches, and I don't have a lot of punches either, but I never use them because I forget I have them. So I use Manila cream colored. It's just basically the cheap cardstock, and I just cut everything out, and I did again the same thing on both sides of the sheets. And then I did a fourth section, and it is blank, and there's really nothing under it because I haven't decided if I want to do my inks or if I want to do my markers. But I figured this was a great project to keep right on my desk. And it's very pretty, and I love it. It's small enough that it doesn't take up a lot of space, and at least I know what I have. What I do want to show you is, and I'm going to bring this close, is that I have embossed, well, I used embossing paste and a stencil. This is a Tim Holtz stencil, and I gave my stand some texture. I don't know if you can see that. Let me see if I can zoom in a little bit so that there's light. And what I did was I gessoed it, then I used the embossing paste with the stencil. I let it dry, and then I just painted it with the Distress paint in the cracked pistachio. I had to do a couple coats of that, and then I let it dry, and then I sprayed it with the Distress stain to make it a little deeper in some areas. So that's my project. Thank you for watching. Thank you, Edith, for all the yummy stuff that you sent for us to work on. You don't know how much I appreciate it and how much I enjoy being part of your awesome company. Stay tuned, and I'll show you how I created the first 2 pages. I've sped it up a little bit so it doesn't take so long. I also just want to say that the ribbon on the edges here was in white, and what I did was I sprayed my surface Distress spray stain. Say that 10 times and forget it. You'll be tongue twisted. I just kind of moved my ribbon around it so it could get the color. I had to do it a couple times just to make it a deeper color. Um, but at the end, I'm very happy with how it looks. Also, as part of the kit, we did receive some Lindsay Stamp Gang sprays and a couple other items, which I will be using in my second project. So if you just hang on a second, you will see my video on how I created the first two sections of this project. So for time's sake, I am speeding this up to double time. I don't normally work this fast. I am using score tape in two different sizes, I believe 1/2 inch and 1/4 inch, to prep my surface, which is the Bo Bunny chipboards, to get ready for paper. I like using this method of adhesive because it is sturdier for things that get handled more often. Anything from mini albums to like altered 3D projects. I like this adhesive the best. I also like to reinforce around my holes so that the paper doesn't fall apart too much. And I'm doing this to you'll only see me do 2 of the chipboard pieces, because I think you can get the idea of what I did on your own. Scrapbooking with Me carries a couple different types of double-sided tapes. They have the score tape, they have scrappy tape, and I believe they have the red tape as well. All 3 are great types of tapes. I use all 3 of them. I'm just cleaning up my edges because I did glue some of the areas down a little too far over the edge of my chipboard. I just want to mention that the craft knife I'm using is from the boutique and I love it. I love how it feels in my hand. I have about 10 different knives, anywhere from X-Acto to Making Memories to God only knows what else, and this is definitely by far my favorite one. You could easily just cut the paper down to 6 by 6, but I didn't want to pull out my paper cutter because it was probably under a pile of something, so I just glued it down and cut around the chipboard. Now I'm punching holes with my Crop-A-Dial. It's easier to do it this way than covering both sides and then trying to figure out where the holes are. The Craft Market papers from Crate Paper had really cool designs on it. The color palette was very easy to work with. it can be used for both female and male. I really enjoyed all the paper on there. There's not one sheet of paper that I did not like. I also love the gold foil and also the gold glitter. I guess gold is the color for this year, so I'm sure you'll be seeing a lot more of it. This is the sheet of paper that has the little titles on it, and I think I found my paper cutter, this is the sheet with the tags, and I'm just going to cut out one of the tags that I'll be using. I decided to go, as you can see, there's different kind of distress inks there. I decided to go with the cracked pistachio. I had just received it, so I've never used it, and it turned out to work out perfectly with this paper line. Unfortunately, you will not see me add the lace that I put around the edge of the paper because I decided to do it towards the end. Right now I'm using Distress ink, also by Tim Holtz, in the tea stain to distress the edges of the chipboards. I use this color probably 90% of the time. I think it's the perfect color to give you that settled, stained, distressed look. Makes the paper look finished. And I'm also using Petaloo flowers. I believe it's in a mint color. I'm going to pull out a couple flowers and a butterfly. And now you see me pulling out the Heidi Swap ephemera pack. This pack has 127 different little pieces to it. Everything from words to flowers to arrows to numbers. It has a nice variety of things, and all the colors match with this specific paper collection. I liked this specific little title. It said DIY project. I'm just measuring to get an idea of what size paper I want to cut this down to. This specific paper the letters are gold foiled and they're so pretty. And I'm going to make it a little smaller, and then I'm going to use one of those little distress paper tools. I'm not sure who makes this one, but you can find one similar to it in the boutique. I know that we carry one specifically, one of the new ones that came out. And I'm inking again with my tea stain. Just a little advice. Don't use your hot glue gun on any type of acrylic or plastic. I kind of melted my pieces there. I'm using a Wink of Stella black glitter marker to write my title. It is a brand new marker, that's why I'm actually writing over for a second time. And I wrote my catalog. That flower, metal flower, also is from the boutique. It's kind of a bronze color, so I did use my Silks acrylic glaze, which can also be found in the boutique, in gold to give it more of a gold look to match my paper. And this ribbon is ancient, also from my stash. I think it's leftover from my daughter's Sweet 16. She's going to be 20 in a couple months. I'm using the Distress Spray Stain in the Cracked Pistachio to kind of change the background a little bit. And now I'm just going to glue everything down. Which you're not going to see this portion as well. I did use the distress stain on the flowers and the butterfly to make the green a little more deeper in the flowers, so that they would match the rest of my greens in the paper. I'm using Scotch mounting strips. You can find this in the boutique as well, or something similar to it. I prefer the mounting foam tapes because it gives it a little bit more support when you're just using paper, as opposed to using glue dots or pop-up dots. And now I'm just using some gold sequins from my stash. Some of the sequins may be older than I am. My aunt used to cut things off of clothes when she was done with it, like buttons and sequences and stuff like that. And when she passed, I was fortunate enough to inherit a shopping bag full of buttons and sequences and different little things. So I'm just hot gluing them down. In different sizes. I have some that are about 1/4 inch, and then there's some that that are a lot smaller than that. So that's what my first page, my cover looks like. Oh, this is from the ephemera pack, and what I'm doing is I'm just cutting it in half, and I will put it in the two halves in different places. That little happy, happy, happy is also from the ephemera pack, and it is an acrylic piece, which is the one that I melted the worst. I'm not sure why I used the hot glue gun. I always forget that it's really hot. But here's my cover. And now I'm going to work on my second page, and on actually not my second page, but my first catalog divider. Hot. Son of a bitch. And here I'm just fumbling around with the paper. Just cleaning up my edges again. Sorry I went off screen, but again, I was just punching the holes. Now I'm using pieces of the ephemera pack to just decorate my page. And I'm using a punch, which I think it's kind of like a top note punch, to punch out my my little tabs. I know it's not your typical tab, but I liked the different shape that it gave me.
Alright. I don't know, fried or rotisserie or something.
Now I'm just trying to figure out my placement. Once again, I'm just gluing it down with my hot glue gun. I'm going to use a flower from the ephemera pack, and I'm just going to cut off the stems so that it fits over the tab on the back side of it. I'm going to use one of the tags again. Like I mentioned, I used multiple tags from this paper line. And the first section is going to be my embossing folders. And what I did was I took a piece of paper from my scraps that matched a cardstock, and I embossed each one of my folders. And I believe I made the boxes about 2 by 2. Maybe a slightly bit smaller than 2 by 2. And then I just used a piece of cardstock and sandwiched the pattern paper, one on each side, you know, to make my pages. And then I just glued my little boxes onto the pages. I'm using another Wink of Stella marker in pink, and again I will put the exact colors and links to the boutique on my blog. I just punched out 2 scalloped hearts from one of the punches I have in my stash. And basically, I'm going to use it to kind of hold down the tag. I was going to make the tag something that you can pull out, but then I changed my mind since it's not a mini album, so I don't need to journal anything behind it or anything like that. That little clip is from my stash, and it's older than dirt. I've had it probably since I started scrapbooking, and finally it's getting used. And I'm just again inking the back with the tea dye, and I'm going to create a little pocket using one of the cutouts from the paper. And I'm going to use a 1/4 inch score tape. I'm not sure if this is score tape or scrappy or that scrap tape. Basically it's the same thing. They work both just as well, one as the other. And I'm going to stick it down, and that's where I'm going to keep my extra little boxes. I didn't want to just, you know, I wanted to have some extras just in case I get more, which I know I will, more embossing folders. Thank you for watching. I hope you had the opportunity to learn something from me.